Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus once again. Got a little bit of information I'd like to share with you for whatever the benefit you'll know. I was talking to a gentleman a little earlier today, and he asked, OG, what do you do? You retired or what? I told him I was retired, and we had a little short conversation. And as I was describing to him my activism, he asked me what kind of activism. He says, like OG, the situation that we're in today is because guys, from your generation didn't take care of us, man. You left us this out here, and we have to go through all these kinds of changes. So what kind of activism are you into? Because I'm very into that activism, he said to me. And so I'm so glad to hear this brother talking. I'm really excited to talk with him further about it. But the thing that he was getting was this: what kind of activism am I bringing? If I'm talking the same activism, he said I look like some guy that was with Malcolm X. I don't know who that is. He says, but if I'm bringing the kind of activism that allowed the generation that I represent to offer them what they have, they weren't coming like that. We got to do better than that. And so, all of you guys out there, that's the message that we've given. It's the message that's true. And so I'm looking at the things that's happening in our country today. I've been talking about it quite frequently, and I've been trying to stir people up. I've been trying to make the Congress look at itself, to hear the negative things that it has presented to the people, and make them take an inner look, and make them stand up and be men like they're supposed to be, to make the House of Representatives do the same thing, to look at themselves, to take a good look at themselves, to look in the mirror and see what they are doing. They are to satisfy their own personal ends. They are screwing people up all over, not just this nation, but all over the world. I want them to take a look at themselves. It doesn't have to be this way. There is another alternative. And I've shared with them 1,000 times, and so it doesn't matter. You got a dictator right now that's tearing your institutions down, and you don't like it. But your leaders are falling in line, saying that it's okay, and you follow in suit. But the poor, the poor, the poor, the poor, the poor, the poor. Nobody wants to be poor. Ooh, when you are poor, you can do all kinds of things. Sometimes you'll sleep in pasteboard boxes in the wintertime in the snow. When you're poor, sometimes you'll sleep in dumpsters and under bridges. Sometimes you'll sleep under buildings in the inner cities where there have been bricks knocked out in the hollow space where you can get in. You set your little spread under the buildings, under houses, in cars, balled up on benches. Some of you are lucky enough to get in shelters. That's how you eat. Standing on the corners begging. You do work trying to make ends meet till the next meal or to get another drink. Your lives are miserable if you're poor. You ride around on trains trying to get from place to place if you're poor. And there's so many people that are poor. But I want you to look at it like this. Think about a father who is expiring, dying, and he got a bunch of children. He has all kinds of money. And he left that money took everything and left it to all of his children equally. But a couple of kids had gone off doing their own thing, indulging themselves in their way, and they really had lost kind of contact with the rest of the family. And so when the father expired, they didn't know anything about it. And it had actually been a couple of years when they did come home and found out that their father had expired. But you know what? They had no part of the estate. The others had decided for them that they were absent and weren't deserving. So it didn't matter what the father wanted. They had changed the plan. And so what are these two supposed to do? Are they supposed to put their tails between their legs and walk back like a fool? That was their dad. So what their cut has been stolen. It's been stolen. I don't care how you justify it. It's been stolen. And the word says, thou shalt not steal. And I said that to say this. When you start talking about stealing, we're talking about systems that involve people. Anybody that should have a need to steal isn't a reflection of an abomination. It's a reflection of a retreat from the will of the Spirit of love. And so if you're going to have a system that involves people, nobody should have a need to steal because they are getting equity. And it's sufficient according to our provider and our understanding. And so when you find a system where poverty exists, that system has stolen from God's plan of peace and prosperity for all. That system has done it. And everybody that can go along, that can accept it and put up with it, is a part of that system that is saying it's okay for it to exist. Any way you cut it, if you got poverty existing in your communities, in your system, you are taking away from God's gift to humanity. And everybody is guilty of it. I don't care. The truth of it is, if there's one person out of 300 million that's living in dire poverty and don't want it, and makes it known to the people, 300 million or 300 minus that one, and they say, tough luck, then that whole nation is damned. You better believe that. That's the kind of God there is. The last one, the least one. You give a president that's trying to hurt people, and you going along with it. So what do these poor people do in the meanwhile? In the meanwhile, if they get anything, they're probably going to have to steal. I say to them, if you have to steal, don't go to court begging for no mercy. Go there telling them the truth. Tell them the truth. If you had to steal because of your poverty, make it known. They are the ones who have created this system. They are the ones who have created a situation that says if you want it, you got to do it this way. Tell them. Don't be ashamed. Look at them. They are the one that's creating this. It doesn't have to be this way. You don't want it to be this way, but everybody else says it's okay. Don't want to even consider anything that would include you. What are you going to do? Stand up. Stand up for what's right. It's not right for them to do that. It's not right for them to get away with it. Stand up. Stand up.